These are two ordinary mechanics who just accomplished what the CEO of Bugatti said was impossible, splitting a $6 million hypercar in half using nothing but basic shop tools and wheels from a garbage can. The internet is absolutely losing its mind over it, and this salvage title rebuild story is reshaping the entire right-to-repair movement. This story starts with Alex Gonzalez, a 25-year-old Forex trader from Miami who managed to completely wreck one of only 60 Bugatti Chiron Pur Sports ever made. We're talking about a car that originally cost nearly $4 million, now worth around $6 million, powered by an 8-litre quad-turbo W16 engine, originally designed using VR6-derived architecture from Volkswagen, pushing 1,479 horsepower. When Gonzalez crashed it into a pickup truck in Miami last September, the automotive world collectively gasped, because suddenly there were only 59 of these engineering masterpieces left on Earth. Here's where it gets interesting. Bugatti took one look at the damage and basically said, "Nope, not happening." They quoted $1.7 million for repairs at their factory in Molsheim, France, then blacklisted the car's VIN number, preventing anyone from ordering replacement parts. The message was clear: this car is dead, and we're not helping you bring it back to life. This kind of manufacturer gatekeeping is exactly what the right-to-repair movement has been fighting against for years. Enter Matt Armstrong, a British YouTuber with over 6 million subscribers who's made a career out of rebuilding cars that manufacturers have written off as total losses. When Armstrong flew to Miami to inspect the wreckage through Copart's auction process, he saw something different than Bugatti's engineers. Where they saw an impossible repair, he saw a challenge worth tackling, and potentially the most famous salvage title rebuild in automotive history. The damage was extensive, no doubt about it. The front end was completely destroyed, with the impact pushing the massive W16 engine backward and crushing coolant lines. The carbon fiber monocoque, basically the car's backbone, had sustained structural damage. The gearbox housing was shattered. Any rational person would have walked away, but Armstrong isn't any rational person. Just like fellow salvage rebuilders Tavarish, Samcrack and B is for Build, who've tackled similar impossible projects. The first major hurdle came when Bugatti essentially locked down the car. They blacklisted the VIN, meaning no authorized dealer could sell replacement parts for this specific vehicle. Think about that for a second. Bugatti was so convinced this car shouldn't be repaired that they actively prevented it from happening, creating exactly the kind of manufacturer repair monopoly that right-to-repair advocates have been challenging. When Gonzalez threatened to 3D print replacement parts himself, that's when things got really interesting. Mate Rimac, the 34-year-old CEO of Bugatti, personally reached out to Gonzalez via direct message. Here's a guy who runs one of the most exclusive car companies in the world, and he's sliding into someone's DMs like a concerned parent. Remac's message was diplomatic but firm. "We just don't think it's safe. I'd love to support it, but it's not the right thing to do." Remac's concerns weren't just corporate posturing. We're talking about a 1,500 horsepower machine capable of incredible speeds. If something's not assembled correctly, it's not just dangerous for the driver, it's dangerous for everyone around them. Plus, Bugatti wants their cars to still be running 50 or even 100 years from now, which means maintaining incredibly strict standards at their Molsheim, France facility. Armstrong had a different perspective, though. As he put it, "I have no choice but to try this, and it's not going to cost me anything to try it." Of course, we're not going to be able to do it to Bugatti's factory standards. He was essentially saying, "We know this won't be perfect, but we're going to try anyway," embodying the core philosophy of the right-to-repair movement. The breakthrough came when Armstrong realized he needed to split the car completely in half to properly assess the damage and access the gearbox. This is where Bugatti claimed only 2 shops in the world had the proper equipment and expertise to safely separate a Chiron. They use state-of-the-art facilities with proprietary equipment specifically designed for this purpose at their Molsheim headquarters. Armstrong looked at that challenge and thought, "Hold my tea." Working alongside his father Tony, a skilled mechanic who runs his own garage, Armstrong devised a plan that would make engineering professors either laugh or cry. They used a standard 2-post lift, some basic shop equipment, and most famously, the wheeled base from a garbage can. Yes, You heard that correctly. Part of their solution to splitting a $6 million hypercar involved repurposing trash can wheels. The process was methodical and nerve-wracking. Every bolt, every connection, every component had to be carefully documented and removed. The W16 engine alone weighs over 880 pounds and connects to the chassis through incredibly complex mounting systems. One wrong move could turn an expensive salvage title rebuild into an even more expensive disaster. But here's what makes this story so compelling. It worked. Against all odds, using equipment you could find at any decent garage, the Armstrongs successfully split the Bugatti Chiron in half. When news broke in February 2024, the automotive internet exploded. Forums crashed, YouTube channels scrambled to cover the story, and suddenly everyone was talking about the father-son duo who did the impossible. The real revelations came after the split. Armstrong discovered that while the carbon monocoque did have damage, most of it was minor and potentially repairable without compromising safety. The main engine block and transmission had avoided catastrophic damage. They found a fractured aluminum engine gearbox mount support, but nothing that couldn't be addressed with proper parts and expertise, proving this salvage title rebuild was more feasible than anyone imagined. Even more interesting were the discoveries about parts sharing within the Volkswagen Group ecosystem. Those knee airbags in the Bugatti? Identical to ones in an Audi A3, available for under $50 each instead of whatever astronomical price Bugatti charges. The steering wheel airbag? Same part as an Aston Martin DB11. Suddenly, the mystique around Bugatti's exclusive components started to crack a little, revealing the reality behind supercar pricing that right-to-repair advocates have long suspected. This isn't the first time someone has exposed the reality behind supercar pricing. Carl Hartley, a UK-based dealer, once faced a $15,500 quote from Bugatti for a faulty mirror switch. A friend with Formula One experience identified it as a Volkswagen part, costing $1.20. 20 minutes and $20 later, the impossible repair was complete. Another victory for right-to-repair principles. The irony is delicious. Here's a company that charges $174,000 for a pair of headlights and $93,000 for a horseshoe grille, claiming their cars are too complex for anyone but factory technicians in Molsheim, France to work on. Meanwhile, two guys in a regular garage just proved that with enough determination and creativity, even the most impossible salvage title rebuilds are possible. Rimac's response has been fascinating to watch evolve. Initially dismissive, then concerned, he eventually engaged constructively with the project. He unblacklisted the VIN, reduced the official repair estimate to $600,000 to $700,000, and even released his own response video acknowledging the situation. His final statement was telling: "We want to help you do this in the most cost-efficient way." Let's be honest about what this really represents, though. This isn't just about fixing one crashed supercar. This is about challenging the entire ecosystem of automotive exclusivity and advancing the right-to-repair movement. For decades, manufacturers have used complexity as a weapon to maintain control over repairs, parts, and ultimately, their customers' wallets. The message has always been, our cars are too sophisticated for anyone but us to understand. Armstrong and his father just shattered that narrative with scrap metal and garbage can wheels. The implications go far beyond this single car. Every time someone proves that impossible repairs are actually quite possible, it chips away at the artificial barriers manufacturers create around their products. Yes, Bugatti engineers at their Molsheim facility are incredibly skilled, and yes, their standards are legitimately high. But when push comes to shove, mechanical problems have mechanical solutions. The insurance implications alone are staggering. Without Bugatti certification, getting coverage for a restored Chiron becomes nearly impossible, typically resulting in a rebuilt title designation. This could relegate the car to track-only use or static display. For some owners, though, that's an acceptable trade-off to save over $1 million in repair costs. What's really beautiful about this story is how it captures the essence of automotive enthusiasm and the right to repair movement. At its core, being a car guy isn't about having the fanciest tools or the biggest budget. It's about looking at a problem everyone says is impossible and thinking, let's see about that. It's about the satisfaction of making something work when all the experts say it can't be done. Armstrong's journey from rebuilding a girlfriend's crashed Audi TT for £600 to splitting a Bugatti Chiron shows what's possible when passion meets persistence in the salvage rebuild community. His channel grew from documenting basic rebuilt title projects to taking on challenges that manufacturers actively discourage. When Richard Hammond from the Grand Tour gave him a shout-out, it wasn't because Armstrong had the most expensive equipment, it was because he had the most interesting approach to solving problems. As this project continues, the automotive world and right-to-repair advocates watch with fascination. Will Armstrong successfully complete this historic salvage title rebuild? Will Bugatti maintain their opposition? Will other supercar owners start questioning whether they really need factory-authorized repairs from Molsheim? The genius of this whole situation is that Armstrong has already won, regardless of whether the car ever runs again. By proving that Bugatti's impossible task was actually quite possible, he's changed the conversation forever and advanced the right to repair movement in ways that extend far beyond automotive. The next time a manufacturer claims something can't be done, people will remember the story of two mechanics, a garbage can, and a $6 million hypercar that wasn't supposed to be fixable. And honestly, that might be the most valuable repair of all.